you guys. How are you all? Thank you guys for being here. I am really excited to sit down and talk about what we heard today and what's to come and all the things. I just wanted to say thank you all for being here. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my dear friends, the two Jens. I brought you up and kicked you back off. There you are. Hello, you guys.
Hi. Hey, babe. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Hello.
Thank you, Just Jen, and thank you, Music City Mom, for gifting a membership. Hey, Kaylin. Oh, I didn't even say hi to everybody, and I usually do. I'm just so excited to talk to you guys about that. But, hello, Renee, Shay, Music City Mom, Dot, Law Nerd Amber. Hey, Julia, Crystal, Shay Bonet, Kaylin, Pointer Lover, Catherine, Brandy, Just Jen, Punksy, Murphy, Johnny, King Raku, Sandy South, Cool Gamer, Kathy, let's see, Fetch Banana, hey Tony, hey Cement Shoes, Butterfly Kisses, Rebecca. Thank all of you guys for being here. Um, how are you guys? And have you all listened to the call already that we released today? And you guys up on the panel, how are you guys? And what are your first thoughts after this? And if either one of you want to explain kind of what we're gonna do or our plan is, or I will, but
Okay, so for me, first of all, my ears are still bleeding from that fucking high pitched sobbing that crazy heifer was doing. Like it's reverberating in my brains. My amygdala is all aflutter. It's bad news bears up in Jen's brain right this minute. Plus, I just got done with talking about Gypsy, and that's a hard case too. But I'm excited to talk to everybody about it. And tomorrow, the plan is I like that what we did today, where you premiered it at like 10:30. And then we talk about it at like 9 because I have a live tomorrow. I got to cover part 2 of Gypsy plus this. So I think that's what I'll do. I think I'll follow in your footsteps, and we're just going to continue to do that. We're alternating as we get through these calls. Although, Jen, why don't you tell them what had happened today?
What had happened was. Wait, hold on. Let me check my notes.
Yeah. Yeah.
and why
I didn't
let
say
me
that.
say thank you.
I didn't say that. Yeah, see that right there. You're putting words in my mouth. You're putting words in my mouth. That's why I don't trust you, Jen.
Yeah, right. Hold on. Let me just stick to my notes. Okay.
Oh, thank you, Crystal, for the super sticker. Thank you so much. And you guys, thank you, Mandy. I didn't see these. You've been a member for 5 months, Cement Shoes, 8 months. Welcome to LB. Oh, these were from this morning, but still, thank you guys for joining. And thank you again, Crystal. That was very sweet. Okay, sorry, Jen. Go ahead.
No, that's all right. So we currently have 6 batches of phone calls. And the way that I broke the phone calls down is I put them together, one batch per day. And so we're waiting on one more batch, which will actually be the 13th of February. But since we don't have that one yet, we'll circle back to it. We just didn't want to make you guys wait any longer. So starting today with the 14th, and then it sounds like tomorrow we're going to do the 15th on Jen's channel, the same way that we did on Allie's channel today, the call in the morning and then the conversation at night. And we're just going to keep rotating them that way on Allie's channel and on Jen's channel. And then as a backup, there will be at crimecurious.com, I'll have all the videos that, don't have any commentary. It just has the links and the timestamps, just for the record, if anybody wants to reference it. But as far as, watching them together and doing the commentary, we're just going to go back and forth from Allie's channel to Jen's channel. And yeah, that's it.
Yes, I am so excited. And then, like she said, on the website, you'll have them in full with timestamps. Just if anybody needs them for reference or just to support you. I love your website. If you guys have not checked it out, you really should check out. I'm going to put it in the chat actually right now, with the backslash that leads you directly to the Stauch case file. So yeah, and then also Evie, thank you so much. And Lynette says, and thank you, Lynette. I'm still deep into the first listen of the new calls, and I keep rewinding. Just wanted to pop in and say thanks. I'll catch this later. And then she quotes "Family of Four," which that is in my notes for us to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
The family of four comments. Let me see.
Yeah. So where should we start?
Well,
Start at the beginning. I mean, I think my notes are pretty much in order of the way it all happened. That is another thing that I do like about these, the way that they're set up. These are the calls that all happened on Valentine's Day in order, unadulterated. And so, we listen to them not exactly as they happened, because sometimes it was a hang up and a callback right away. But other times, there was an hour or two in between calls. But it's still in order on the right day.
I like the way
And,
they did it
2.5 hours. He spent 2.5 hours on the phone with her that day after not talking to her for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks doesn't seem like enough of a break to then be able to start talking to her again and then hearing that. I mean, all of it. It was all just, it was all Leticia. I mean,
Right.
do I need to say any more? I mean, that Leticia acts like a straight fool anytime and every time and any chance she gets for no reason.
She
None.
absolutely does. She does. Hey, Roxanne. Good to see you. Hey, Melissa. Hey, you guys coming in. MK, Crazy Mama. Okay, you guys. So my notes are kind of in order too from the beginning, but my notes are kind of just jotted down thoughts. So I think we can just talk through like what you were thinking, what I was thinking, what you were thinking, Bindi. And then if there's any parts that we want to clip, we can. Someone timestamped the family of four comment. And I also want to show you guys it later after we get through the calls. At the end, I'm going to show you one of my subscribers, an awesome viewer, had saw the video I made about the Getting Out app, and she reached out to Leticia, and actually Leticia said she had about 150 people reach out in the last couple of days. I don't know if that's true. It's Leticia, but that's pretty funny. But Leticia responded to her, and she sent me the screenshot, so I'm going to show you guys that in just a little bit. Oh, we love you guys, True Crime Crazy. I hope you are having a relaxing time at home.
Yes. I hope you are too, babe. You deserve it. Can I just say this? I didn't take no notes.
How dare you?
I don't need any notes. I got all Leticia's craziness right up here in one of my 11 billion tabs. I'm good.
Well, my first note was poor Leticia. That's literally the first 2 words on my page, because I'm like, dude, as soon as you get on this call, it's just, wow, oh my God, feel sorry for me. Like, his son is missing, you selfish bitch. Are you that? And excuse my language, by the way, I got a comment that said we take it a little far with the name calling. I mean, forgive me. It's going to happen sometimes. I can't help it. But anyways, so she's just so selfish. I don't understand how you can be in this situation. Remember, this is Valentine's Day. Gannon's been missing for, a little over 2 weeks at this time. She knows exactly what she did to him. And there are so many tales that she gives in these calls, that shows that she knew. But it's like, how do you sit there and you're talking about, like, poor you're crying for you're talking, I don't know. It is so beyond frustrating to listen to her selfishness.
Yeah. One of the things that got me, when we listened to the calls at trial, okay, we definitely knew that Leticia was a liar, but it wasn't as easy to spot all of the lies because we didn't, now that we're looking back on it, now that it's in hindsight, and she mentions things like, how she's paying $125 a night for a hotel room, plus a pet fee, plus she's having to do Ubers. And we know that that's all bullshit, because we know, first of all, Aunt Brenda paid for the extended stay America on Corporate Drive for the nights of Thursday, January 30th and Friday, January 31st. Then February 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, Harley and Leticia stayed at hotels. But we know damn well that they didn't pay a pet fee, and they weren't Ubering because they had the moving van, right?
Mhm.
And she was trying to say that she only took 1,500, and he's like, well, yeah, in one lump sum it was 1,500, but then there was this and that and the other. But now we also know, after having the case report, that she also got, just shy of $5,000 from family members and strangers off the internet.
Yeah.
On top of that, 2,000 or whatever it was from Albert.
Yeah. Oh my God. And that is so frustrating to even think about, that she's getting money from, like, sympathy money from strangers online.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And, so here it is 3 weeks after Gannon goes missing. And she's trying to say that she's in Colorado Springs paying for hotels. And he knows that she's not, but she's driving around in Laura Abernathy's minivan, and her and Harley are living with Dee Dee Moss. And they've got her clothes and stuff. Their stuff from the U-Haul is stored at Laura's house, and they're staying at Dee Dee's house. But, Leticia's story is that she's paying $125 a night, plus a pet fee, plus Ubers, and then that changed, to her driving around, some car that she borrowed from an old man at the hotel or whatever.
And how
it was.
humiliating it was. Humiliating.
Do you know how bad it is that I have to? Oh my God.
Shut up, Leticia. And I'm going to say this about the name calling. This is me exercising restraint.
Yeah, no doubt. Also,
I could go way harder, but I will, because I want to be I want to hear what people are saying. I will restrain myself even more. I just want you all to know what a huge personal sacrifice this will be for me to do this.
Well, let me also say this. So Murphy says, we didn't hear this in court. This had much more information. And I'd pinned a comment in there that said, based on the math that I did, which is approximate, there was around 40 to 50 minutes that was not played in court on today's calls. And that's approximate and, allow for human error. But I think that that's pretty close. Every day I've looked at the amount of time that the calls are and what was played in court. There's a lot of new stuff. I don't know I know that other creators are kind of saying that was all played in court. Well, if you watch the trial, then you would understand that that is not true. And it's also not possible. There were 12 hours of calls. And I think in court, we added it today, roughly added it. And it was around 7 or 8 hours that was played in court.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it's much more clear. Like, you can just hear things that you didn't hear in court, and even the calls that we did hear. But yeah, I got a comment today that was like, I heard this on, and then they named this channel, and I'm like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. This hasn't been played in court, but it's because other creators are kind of pushing that narrative. I just think they haven't looked close enough and don't know that no, not all of it was actually played in court. So,
right.
Well, and the thing of it is, from just this one call, okay, there was a good portion of this one call played in the court, but that's not how it was with subsequent calls, number one. And the truth of the matter is, when the reason that they had to edit it for time is, can you imagine if the jury had to sit and listen to it? Like, they didn't need to hear her whole story. Right. They played the important parts. They played where she said one thing about what's his name? Quentin Brown? Quincy Brown. See, this is why I need to be taking notes. Quincy Brown. Right. And then there's some of that arguing was played in court, but they cut a great deal of that out. And then when she decides to call back, and bless poor Al's heart and Agent Grusing, who's over there passing him notes, and you can hear him in between talking about a peanut butter sandwich, which I like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, especially when my peanut butter has threats written in it. That's the best. But you could hear him like recentering Al. Yeah. Because, and this is a human moment for Al. Like, listen, if it had been me and I had any inkling that woman See, there's that restraint. Was in anywhere in the vicinity. I would be in my vehicle. I'd have this conversation. Sure, we can record the hell out of it. Absolutely. But guess what else? But we'd be doing it on the move because I'd be getting ready to pull up. And hearing all of it put together, particularly this day, shows how incredibly cruel Leticia was.
Oh, yes,
in that phone call. When she changed the story from Quincy Brown has him and he's waiting for you to release the reward money or, all the things that she said. And then she calls back and says, well, okay, I'm ready to tell the truth, which obviously was not the truth. But to tell him that, Gannon was hurt, all of that was cruel because Al, even if there was a part of him that thought maybe she was going to tell the truth and was starting to listen as if she was going to tell him what happened. Once she got into the story, obviously then he knew it was lies, but just to hear that Gannon was hurt to begin with. And I do think, as weird as this is, when she's talking about the head injury, I actually think she's telling the truth there. I mean, it didn't happen that way. But I do think that's why, yes, I think she is recalling. And I was thinking about this today while I was playing Angry Birds, because sometimes I got to take my mind completely off this stuff, you guys. So I was playing Angry Birds and I was thinking about this and mulling it over in my brains. And remember when Agent Grusing is interviewing her after she's been arrested and he's asking her repeatedly to talk about the last thing she remembers of Gannon, and she absolutely refuses to do it. I do think that she's not doing it because she doesn't want another. She knows what she knows she slipped up when she was talking to Al, and I think that's why she was refraining from doing it because she's fairly confident. Well, she's 100% confident that she can get one over Al. But I think she's only like 73% confident that she can get one over on the whole ass FBI.
Yes. So, and you're right. I agree with you. And many people in the chat agree. And they're talking about her little tales, which that's some of my notes are things that I quoted, like many things that she said, that it's just like, oh my God, it's just hard to hear. Like the first one is, I don't kill people. It's like, Leticia, who said Gannon was dead? Like, come on, lady, you give yourself away in the middle of all your intertwined up bullshit,
Yes. People leak. Everybody does it. I mean, and people do it to varying degrees. We see it all the time. They refer to it as, well, their mask slipped. But if you really go back and you really analyze their behavior with 100% honesty, and that means a lot of times you have to be honest with yourself and kind of even critical with yourself. There are red flags. People do leak a little bit about who they really are and their true intentions. And if you pay enough attention, you will catch it and save yourself a world of heartache. But anybody that goes by the name of Dr. T and then uses words like costed, run very, very far as far as you can. Costed. Well, it costed $125 a night. Get out of here, lady. Nothing costed. Nothing.
Another thing she says that to your point was like at one point she's like talking about like I'm telling the truth because I'm breaking down, basically. Like when people are like, and it's like, lady, now we know why you're sobbing and crying hysterically because you think that's going to make you look like you're telling the truth. She's like, because she quotes, she's talking about herself, but her quote was, she's breaking down, she's telling the truth. But she's like talking about herself, like Al's going to know I'm telling the truth because it's destroying me or I'm breaking down. And it's like, you just gave yourself away of why you're acting like this. You think it makes you look truthful.
Exactly. Yeah. Which, another red flag is somebody that can switch emotions between two different emotions very rapidly. When she starts that call off, I started to say out and off at the same time. When she starts out with the call, right? She is doing this guttural wail. It's a sob, right? It's not even really crying. It's just like one moan. And within seconds, she has shut the waterworks completely off. Her nose isn't running, which is how you know it was fake. Because if you really cry like that, you're going to have a runny nose. It's just biology. It's science. I can't tell you nothing else. No runny nose, no sniffles, no nothing. And it's immediate seething anger. I mean, there were times when she was screaming so loud and at such a high pitch that lady was one octave below only dogs can hear.
Yeah, you're right.
She was almost a damn dog whistle.
My apologies to everybody's pets in the chat if you didn't have earbuds in. It's impossible to wear earbuds because it hurts. Mm-hmm. But, you know, there were a lot of four-legged friends that suffered today, you guys.
Everybody be sure to give your fur babies like some extra. If they're listening, I'm just going to spell it because everybody knows fur babies can't spell. TREATSs. Because they deserve it today. Like Mac and Alice, highly disgruntled. The only reason I think Nestor isn't disgruntled is, bless his old man heart, he's very hard of hearing. And he can't really hear that much anymore. But there were a couple of times when he perked up when she got especially loud. And he was like, they got a little jostled, a little jolted awake. And he just did one of his, you know how labs do. They, and he just went back to sleep.
He's like, damn it. Holly said both of her dogs were discombobulated. Yeah. What were you going to say, Jen?
Oh, just that I did try to pay attention to what caused the hard stop on the waterworks. And I think the first time, the call started out, the very first call that day started out with basically, where's Lena? Well, where's Harley? Right. And then, and she was crying about how, Harley had to go to the doctors because,
she went to the hospital. She didn't even go to the doctor. She went straight to the hospital.
Yeah. But Leticia calls it the doctors.
I thought she said hospital.
She did the second time. The first time she said doctors.
She also said, which I thought was interesting, that Al has been to every appointment with her, every doctor's appointment and everything. And I'm like, wow.
With Harley, right.
Okay. Yeah.
So that was the first hard stop, was when he started. See, Al was really slick when he just popped off immediately with which hospital. I mean, it was just like there was no time in between it at all. And that was brilliant the way he did that. And,
it was.
And that's,
no time
and that's
for her
when
to
she
think.
sobered up.
Yeah.
Right. That's when she that was the hard stop on the waterworks. And she went into a mode where she needed to use, her voice to be taken more seriously. And then the waterworks slowly came back in. And then they started talking about that $2,000. And it wasn't as hard of a stop, but it was another hard stop from the waterworks to, no, I need to be taken seriously because I'm defending myself. So anytime she's defending herself or, she's not controlling the direction, she does the waterworks and the anger for that matter. She does both of those emotions because she's trying to steer the boat. And if somebody else steers it away, then she's got to just stop and move on to the next one, and it's just so obvious that none of it's real.
Yes. The other meltdown inducing things that I noticed, and these ones were almost as rapid, but not quite. Anytime that Al would mirror her or say back to her what she had just told him, then that would start it. Then she would get very defensive, and if he got one word wrong, he got the whole story wrong, which was why I made that comment a few nights ago about the socks, that Leticia will call you a liar if you said that your socks were periwinkle and that they were actually navy blue or what's it? I don't know. That's too far apart, but you know what I mean.
Then you lied about your whole outfit. Yes, I know exactly what you're saying. Like, yes.
Yes.
Well, and it's meant to distract because whereas if you and I are having the conversation that we've already had 50 times about Uncle Matt, and I accidentally say Uncle Mark, you know what I mean. You know what I'm talking about. You know that I just misspoke, but that's an opportunity to veer all the way off and distract from the
Yes.
actual conversation.
And Leticia goes, not even like, I know I'm familiar with myself and all my shortcomings, and I know that I be getting off into the weeds. Leticia is not even, she's not even in the same state anymore. She's done gone off the road, past the swamp. Whew, she's somewhere completely different. And we'll keep Al in that loop, which is why I think Agent Grusing did such a fantastic job. And shout out to you, Agent Grusing. Big ups to you. Not only did we get a little ASMR in between with your soft, whispery, husky voice, giving Al prompts like, what did he say? The final one was no judgment, which I thought was good. We got a little ASMR in between Leticia's howling, but you could tell, he would get Al back on course and teach and show him a way to stop that word salad. But Leticia. Yikes on bikes.
Oh, thank you so much, Carol freaking Claus, for the 10 memberships. Thank you.
Awesome.
I appreciate that.
Oh, wow.
And welcome, you guys. And then look, Shay Bonet has been a member for 12 months. That's crazy, Shay.
Woo, woo.
Crazy.
Woo-woo.
Okay, so let me see what's next on my notes. I have another quote from her. I can't get in trouble for this, which we heard a lot about this immunity talk in court, right? But we heard more of it today. And I think today we heard more of Al's feisty side. Like all we really like what we heard in court, they chose the ones where he was much more calm. And today he kind of let her have it a couple times, which she does.
Yeah.
When he said, I'm going to sit right here in this hotel on my fat ass, I did chuckle. I'm sorry. I'm sorry because, by that point, Leticia went all the way down 72 different rabbit holes, talking about I turned wrong. Bitch, lady, ma'am, your whole life is a wrong turn. Okay. Your life is one big series of wrong turns. Ugh.
Yes.
And he'd had enough.
Music City Mom. It's an app called Getting Out. You just download the app, and then you have to put in like some of your personal information, and then you search whatever state, whatever prison, that kind of thing, and then you need the number, which is in my video. If I know that apparently many people have messaged, and I'm going to show you guys. She actually did respond. We'll get to that after we get through this call. But thank you, Molly Henry. Thank you so much for the super sticker.
Well, I thought the immunity thing, the most interesting thing about the immunity stuff for me was the way that she delivered it was in this panicked sort of state where she was underscoring how she was terrified and she was full of fear, and she really wanted to help, but one of the quotes I wrote down is, I can't tell anything until I get immunity, and I need immunity, please. And it was just the way that she delivered it was not because she was feeling any of those things, but she was trying to prompt Albert into acting and acting immediately. That was her trying to get him to make the move. And she just couldn't budge him. And no matter how loud she got, he just stayed. Why do you need immunity if you didn't do anything wrong? And
right.
It just,
and when he wouldn't do what she wanted him to do, when he wouldn't jump, which is what she wanted, that's when she started questioning his manhood. Talking about, why don't you get some balls? Why don't you grow some balls?
Oh my God, she pissed me off with that part. I'm like, like I said a minute ago, she knows what happened. His son is missing, and she knows she's responsible, and she has the fucking nerve to say that to him. Excuse my language, but I just cannot. I don't understand that. Like, do you have no compassion at all for what you've done? She has none.
She doesn't.
None. No. I'm telling you, I really, truly, down to every fiber of my being at a cellular level, believe that if Leticia could be given some type of something that would make her 100% honest, she would 100% justify why she unalived Gannon. She would admit to it, but would take no accountability for it. She would blame it on Al, on everybody else but her, and come out with some story that in her mind makes 100% sense, complete and total sense, and why she was justified in brutally murdering an 11-year-old little boy.
Yeah,
Because it was brutal.
absolutely.
Right, and he kept giving her the out of saying it was an accident. And so then by the end of the calls from the 14th, okay, I'm going to tell you this time. It really was an accident, but there was still a bad guy. It was still Quincy. It was just Quincy version 2.0. Because
Correct.
Quincy version 1 was him laying down in front of the vehicle and she stopped to help because she's the hero. At which point, he carjacked her and all that. And then version 2 was, I just wanted to buy you a bike. So again, it's Albert's fault.
Right.
Because she was doing something amazing and cool for Albert. And
Right.
She wouldn't have been in this situation if she wasn't trying to do something good for Albert.
Which tells me at the heart of all of these stories, if you really listen to them, somehow, some way, Albert is always to blame, which tells me that the true motive in all of this was Albert. Yes, she doesn't like Landon at all. Make no mistake, the friendship door is 100% closed on her. I mean, not that Landon cares, but I've changed my mind. When I first started the trial and everything, I thought that it was equal between Al and Landon, that she really just despised them both. But now that the trial is over and some stuff has come out, particularly more of the pretext calls and the case reports that we got, if you really listen to her and what she's saying, even though she's not saying Al outright, on every story, on some level, Al is to blame. The carpet story, it go all the way back to Eduardo. The whole reason she picked some stranger up off the street to install carpeting, which, let me just be clear because this really irritates me. You cannot cut a square of carpet out of the middle of a floor and expect anybody to be able to patch that back right. That's just something that irritates me because even if there was part of that was true, that's not how it works. But even still, that goes back to Al too. She's trying to keep Al from flipping out because that's the story she tells everybody. Even when she marches her ass into the police department, she says, Al was going to freak out.
Yeah.
At the core of her motive for this is her anger at Al. And I believe that, in my opinion, Gannon looks like his mom. And, but it's still he's still Albert's son. And I do think that when she was doing everything that she was doing it to Albert, not to Gannon, and in her mind. And I do think there's a kernel of truth to that Maria Sanchez story where she didn't see Gannon. I don't think she did see Gannon. I think she saw Albert. That's what I think. I think there's a little tiny bit of truth.
Yeah, I think that she definitely that was part of her reasoning was anger at Al because she was being used as a babysitter. You know what I mean? And that's that. She was very frustrated. Oh, you hear about it everywhere she goes, how much she's done for these kids, this and that. I also think that you see times where she almost blames Gannon for it too. Like she's just so full of like hate and rage. Like she underhandedly will blame Gannon or like, just like, saying he's doing drugs or different things like that. Like it's like she has to smear him too on the way out. And I think that she was so angry that she was the one that was having to take care of them, and that was because of Al, so I think that I agree with you, but I also would add in I think that she really didn't like any of them, and including Gannon. And it's concerning because at trial, if you remember, she says that she actually liked Gannon more than Lena, which is
Right.
uh,
I do not think she was psychotic, you guys. No, I don't think that the Maria Sanchez where she flipped personalities is true. That part's no. It was 100% Leticia. What I'm saying to you is, and this I have heard in many, 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 I've gone over many interrogations. And when they talk, even like if listen to Dahmer on Dahmer, or another good one is Kemper on Kemper, but that one's kind of hard to find. But if you listen to them speak about when they were actually in the act of taking somebody's life, there is a moment of disassociation where they don't see that person anymore, not only as a person, but sometimes they sort of just black out. And I kind of think that as far as Leticia goes with Gannon, I think that there was a moment where she was killing not just Gannon, but Albert too. Some of that anger was anger that was directed at Gannon, but some of it was also anger that was directed at Albert.
Yeah.
That's just what I think. I can't prove that. That's just what one of those things.
Well, I want to answer this question, but I want to see if you have anything to respond, Curious Jen, to what Jen was saying about, thinking because it was Albert before I do.
Yeah, I don't know. And you guys know that I have to be real careful with that because, I can only speculate so much. And I've worked so hard to kind of keep my opinion out of it, but I will say I don't disagree.
Okay, interesting.
That's diplomatic.
Yeah, that was a great answer.
But the thing on the screen, so that was one of the things from the calls today that was super clear, is that Eduardo and Quincy are allegedly the same person. So
yes, you caught that too, did you?
Yeah,
I'm glad
yeah.
you said
So
that because that's what I was thinking. But as you know, I've already talked about this. I didn't take no notes. But
I didn't catch that at all.
I'm glad you brought that up. How Eduardo morphed into Quincy.
Right. And so the guy that she was describing all along also happened to fit Quincy's mugshot, right? But so Eduardo said his name was Eduardo, but he was lying because in version 1.0 of the Quincy story, his ID fell out of the pocket of the baggy pants, right? But then in version 2.0, and so that means he said his name was Eduardo, but she actually saw his ID when it fell out of the pocket. And then in version 2.0, she checked his ID because she met him off of Craigslist to buy the bike for Albert. And so that's how she knows it was Quincy Brown.
Right,
but Eduardo is Quincy version 1 and Quincy version 2. They're all three the same people. And then we get Terrence.
And Fetch Banana said Gwincy.
Yeah.
When she said Terrence, I was like, where you be coming up with these names, Tisha?
But before we this like suitcase thing with the
right,
comment,
yeah,
didn't she ask Nicole Mobley to tell the police that she saw a man leaving with a suitcase? I remember that as well. Like that kind of.
Yes,
she did, and she said it other places too. She just didn't say it in the phone calls on February 14th to Albert, but she did tell Nicole Mobley, and she told a couple other she told that story a couple other times as well. Just not in these particular phone calls. In these particular phone calls, she said that he took boxes. He was taking boxes empty boxes because she thought that he was gonna, clean out the house or whatever.
Al cracked me up when he's like, "Yeah, Quincy with the red car and the empty boxes," or whatever. I was like, damn.
There was another thing that he said that made me laugh too, but now I can't think of it. It'll come to me. It'll come to me when he was running back her bullshit story.
I start a couple comments that I wanted to. I did hear that, Brandy. She's like, "Well, we shouldn't have a druggie living at or staying at our house."
Right.
Like, then she, thank you, Clicker. You're the best. Murphy talks about this cell phone being left at Petco was strange.
Not as strange as the explanation for it. Oh, God. And you check the alarm. What?
Hold on.
Yeah, at the end, she just started throwing shit in there. The other thing that drove me nuts was her, like, how she got exasperated with Albert. He would repeat, this is your words, ma'am. Let me just remind you of all of this, okay? These are your own words. And he is repeating them back to you, and your response is,
yeah.
You're not listening.
Point. Yeah.
What? And then I have to do this because I said I wouldn't. If I don't, I'll forget. When she did the wow, she sounded like the chick from The Grudge. She was all, like, shut up. Shut up. That's what you take umbrage with? That's the part that's really lit a fire under your butt?
Yeah, and she's got two of those things. There's the wow, and there's really, really.
Oh my God.
And that's when, that's another tell. She has so many tells. For somebody who's allegedly good at poker, yeah, right. Oh,
she's not playing poker. That heifer lump is playing Go Fish or Old Maid.
Yeah.
Go Fish.
She ain't even at the spades table.
Midwest Meemaw says, I'm a step parent who had custody of the kids, and surprise, you are a parent. Step is just a word. You are the caregiver. That's the way it should be. Jelly Baby says, talks about the pillow over Lena's face, what Landon had talked about.
Yes.
MK, I thought y'all would like this one. She uses Pam for hairspray. Then
Pam.
And then Jacqueline, yes. Landon did say that Leticia was, leaving Gannon in charge of him and Lena, and often, leaving them alone. Okay, you guys. So what about this part when Leticia's like, who's listening to me? Because I was worried she would hear the whispering in the background. No, she says, I hear somebody crying and I hear somebody screaming.
Yeah, it's you.
The call is definitely coming from inside the house, Leticia. Stop it.
What is she talking about? And Al's like, you said that yesterday.
The echo. So I think what's happened is when Al is recording the phone conversation, all right, every so often he's hitting speaker. So Agent Grusing, as if he couldn't, because there are moments when Leticia is using the closest thing that she has to an inside voice. And I don't think Agent Grusing can hear. And I think when Al is hitting the speaker to let him hear, that's when we hear the echo because it's recording.
Okay, that makes sense. And maybe that's what she's talking about. Okay.
Yeah, you're hearing your own self. Like I said, the call is definitely coming from inside the house, ma'am.
Okay, what about when another thing that she said that just, oh my God, it turned my gut when she's like, first of all, she tells him that Gannon was in the house when the cops were there. And that's, another tell on herself. If we believe what the police said, then they say that he was in the storage room, at that time when the body cam video was taken the night that she reported him missing. But then she also says something to the effect of, like, she's crying and she's like, I could hear him screaming, Al. I could hear him screaming. And I just thought about, that video, which I know some people were not happy with, but it is what it is. There was a video put out from the case file that a creator had got from the CCTV, Ring doorbell, whatever, and you could hear a fight, some kind of fight happening, some screaming and stuff happening. So I believe that she actually did hear his screaming. And when I think about that, it just breaks my heart because she's very consciously aware of what happened, obviously, and it just, it's just awful.
You know what else I caught in her story? At this point on 214, did they not have, I thought that they did, the Ring doorbell footage with Gannon coming back to the house?
That wasn't actually Ring doorbell footage. You mean
Well,
coming back after Petco?
yes, not bring, you know what I mean, the
Yeah.
security footage. Okay, because here's my thing. She's talking about Al hints at it. He says, "Did Gannon come back with you?" Because remember, there is video footage of Gannon coming back after Petco.
Right. He mentions the shadow.
Yes, and she doesn't acknowledge it.
Yeah.
But then I
Because-
thought it was interesting because before this is what I find interesting that she forgot about this detail, because she has to know about this because that there is this video, and the reason I say that is because she mentions it in her interview with the news. There's a video that's coming out that's gonna show that Gannon came home with me after we went to the store. She does mention it.
Yeah, when she says that there's a video from the other side.
Yeah.
Mm-mm-mm.
And then she goes on to say, you know, she's going to get an apology from everybody, especially my husband.
Yeah.
At first, I thought she was saying like, they're going to apologize to me and my husband. But no. What she's saying is Al is going to have to apologize to me too. It all, like, for whatever reason, I can only connect so many dots with Leticia at a time, because it takes me a while to process all that screaming. And that just, I don't know, for whatever reason, you know.
MK said they have the same 5 o'clock shadow in that pic, and you got to look.
Thank you, MK, because I pointed that out today when everybody was like I said, listen, just you know, like, I've never taken Lamaze, but I have seen it on TV, and they tell you to have a focal point. So anytime Leticia gets too much, just y'all focus on her stash right there at the top.
Yes, I noticed hers, but it's funny comparing it to his because
let's let that be your focal point and breathe.
I saw you say that in the chat earlier when we
were
listening.
Let's let that be your focal point and deep breathe.
Right. So that's that comment that was on the screen about him going back, or about Leticia going back to Petco after Quincy version 2.0. So Quincy version 2.0, Gannon basically falls off the bike and busts up his nose and his lip, and he's got scrapes on his knees and elbows or whatever it was. And I guess Gannon just goes with this stranger who she's just met off of Craigslist and carded, because he lives somewhere close, but she doesn't know where. And he's going to bandage him up and call 911. And Leticia just sits there in the car and cries. And this is when she calls it a trauma. You know, you don't know what it's like to be in a trauma. Well, did you fall off the bike, you know, in this, you know, fake story? Where was the trauma, you know?
You're right. Gannon had, like, if that story is at all true, Gannon is the one with the trauma, dumbbell. Oh, there's a name, ma'am.
and she didn't have her phone. So then she went, allegedly, obviously it's not true, but so then she went back to Petco to get her phone. Okay. And then while you're inside the Petco, which we already know is the case, you text Albert, "Can I play Zelda at least?"
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
And you didn't go back for your phone. Ding dong. You went back for Gannon's phone, because remember, you left your phone at home conveniently and text Harley, letting Harley know if she needed to get a hold of your mom to text my phone, making the text appear as it came from Gannon when it didn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Stop
and
playing
before
with
she
these
left
people.
the house, she texted Albert and said she wasn't going to have her phone.
Yes.
I always, from day one, I knew that, like, because that was out pretty early that she didn't have a phone with her before he was found or anything. Because I remember thinking, like, really? Like, okay, that is so obvious. I mean, come on, lady.
Right.
Frustrating. Kelly talks about a door cam video where Zav Girl had, where she believes she heard 2 screams. Any truth to that? So Kelly, that is a video out of the case file. We've talked about it before. I actually took the video down because some people were not happy with it, and I can understand that. But I personally believe that it likely is true. But I mean, we can't be sure, so I don't know. And I'll let you guys, if you wanted to comment on that. But first, let me say thank you again to Claus for the memberships. Thank you so much. And I want to tell you, when you are doing such nice things for other people, make sure to do nice things for yourself too. Don't forget that, because you got to do the self-love as well for all the love you give out and that kind of thing. But okay. So
I have a question for you guys as we're going through all of the lies and the stories. And the three of us and a lot of other people too now have been through the case report. 1,050 pages. We've seen Leticia's interview with the FBI. We've seen her interview with the sheriff's department. We've seen Landon's interviews. We've seen Albert's interviews. We've seen a lot of stuff. But something that has been haunting me today. How do I put this? I remember back to the affidavit for probable cause. And in the affidavit, and it mentions that Gannon was also essayed by Eduardo, according to one of Leticia's stories. But I've listened to all of these phone calls now, with the exception of February 13th. And I haven't heard that anywhere. I haven't seen it in any of the police reports. But I do know that came out in the probable cause affidavit, that she was essayed, but Gannon was as well. And I guess I've just been kind of waiting, because how as I continue on with the research, I connect it back and then I compare it to where I learned that, when I learned that, and how that alters the story, looking at it in a linear fashion, and nothing from trial, nothing else has gone back to January 27th. Where did that come from in the probable cause affidavit? It wasn't mentioned in the preliminary. It wasn't mentioned in the trial. It wasn't mentioned in any of the police reports. And I thought that it would come out in these phone calls, and I thought that it would be part of just what we didn't hear in trial. Like maybe they left that part out because it was part of her lies.
Right.
I feel like that was something she probably said to hurt Albert, because we've watched her do that over and over. Now, the only calls that I haven't heard yet are from February 13th. But I feel like had she said that to Albert in the February 13th calls, it would have come up again in all of these other calls that we've listened to now,
Right.
from the 14th, the 15th, the 16th, the 17th,
But
the
I
19th, and the
remember her
21st.
saying it. Like, I remember hearing it at trial.
I do too. I was going to say we talked about this some from trial, but not because Dorothy Lewis.
The enemas were mentioned.
Yeah. And then Dorothy
But
Lewis.
that's not what I'm talking about.
No, I know. This is something else.
I know, I wasn't done yet. Dorothy Lewis mentions like the enemas, and then she kind of mentions that like with this, what she believes Leticia has, like she was, be likely to do things like that. And it was mentioned one other time in reference with, I believe, like on the defense's side. I don't know that I ever heard it from the prosecution though.
No, I remember hearing it from Leticia's mouth, because she talked about Gannon bleeding. And it is in a call. Or her interrogation. But I remember hearing that story or those terms coming out of her mouth. She said it. I just cannot for the life of me remember. That he was
assaulted on the 27th.
Yes.
By a stranger.
Yes, because I remember her saying that he was bleeding from his bottom. I remember her saying that.
Yeah, she said that in text messages to Albert on Sunday night.
Wait, did she say it to the cops? In one of her
That's
versions?
what I'm thinking. I think when she's telling what happened, yes, in the interrogation, I think she tells that story in the interrogation.
I think she
So are
does
you
too.
talking about on the 29th
Yes, that one.
Yes.
to Bethel?
Yep.
Yes.
That's what I think.
That story came directly from Letecia, Dr. T. Stauch. It came from her mouth because I remember hearing it in the courtroom, and I remember being live either on my channel or on Allie's, or hell, it might have even been on yours. And we were talking about how it was how messed up the story was, because it was mainly because it was a lie, and how incredibly cruel it was to throw that in there, and for Albert to hear it.
Mm-hmm. You're right, Jen. I believe you're right, because I remember this was like one of her different versions. Once when she goes to Bethel and she's like, "Okay, I got to tell you, but I didn't want Albert to be mad at me for this, so I kept it for 2 days before she goes to the hospital." Right?
Yes.
We need to release
But she was talking about herself being assaulted.
She also talks about Gannon being assaulted, and I remember that the detectives, and I cannot remember if it was Detective Bethel or the other one that came in later, were trying to ask her like follow-ups about it. It's not that they were trying to ask her, they were asking her, but she was very vague about it, and it was very word salady, and wanted it to be about her, because what I remember her saying, what I remember her reasoning coming back to always when they would ask follow-ups, is that she hit her head and she blacked out. Remember?
Ashley
I hit
says
my head.
He doesn't say it, and then other people say they remember it. We need to rewatch it. And Missy Lee remembers saying it at a time with Al on a call. I definitely remember her saying it. Somebody said she said it to Grusing and Bethel. So I don't know. We need to fact check this so we can be sure.
Yeah, and that's why I'm asking. It's not that I'm it's just
One of the
I have to be accurate. And
no, it's a loose
and
end.
if I'm not sure, and if I can't tell you exactly where I found at least 3 points of truth to any one thing in this story, then I can't put that puzzle piece where it goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes sense. It definitely does. But I don't know. I know it came up a few times on the defense too, but
I appreciate you guys so much.
I appreciate
everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, I appreciate all of you guys too, but I distinctly remember it coming out of her mouth, like hearing her words and being so disgusted with her level of bullshittery that I was for momentarily. Remember, there was a few times when Leticia got your girl where she had no words, and that does not happen very often. It only lasts a moment, because then my synapse is all fire, and then I'm really right back there ready to tell her what a dummy she is. But
Chalu, who says sanity interview, Jen, we need to check that too. Maybe, I don't know, just to make sure. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just read it and then just spit it out.
I think it's mentioned multiple times, but I think Jen is wanting to know the first time.
Yeah.
And all I remember is, and we will find it, Jen. We will find it, because all I know that I heard it, that I heard the details of that story in Leticia's voice. And I did not make this up in my brain.
Yeah, I believe you. I just have to be able to place it.
Yeah.
No, I know. We'll find it. Put it on the list, Allie.
Okay.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've thought, something was one way. And then it's like, no, I heard that. No, I remember this very well. And then I go back and it's 6 months later, and I'm like, oh my, yeah,
I do it.
I heard that
too.
wrong.
Yeah, I do too. Hey, Amber, and hey, Angie. Okay, I want to take just a second and show you guys a couple things, and then we'll go back to like your notes, Curious Jen, or whatever else you guys have about the calls. But just to take like a little break today, whenever I found, I was looking up like creepy Valentine stuff for the thumbnail. Because this was on Valentine's Day, this call, and this picture was the first picture, and it says put a ring on it. And I thought that was pretty funny, because especially with Jen and her Samara. Yeah, it was perfect.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, KPM. I can email the article from Fox. According to the affidavit, Stauch gave law enforcement several stories as to what happened to her stepson, including sexual assault, kidnapping, a bike accident, and her initial report. So, if that's the case, she gave law enforcement. If
That means it came from her statement. It
Yeah.
came from her interview. It's in
Yep.
her interrogation. I bet we find it in her interrogation.
Carrie, the first call is on my channel, just the last live stream that was done. Tomorrow, we're going to play some on Jen's, and we're going to alternate. I'll make sure I will always link them on the community tab when we're not here, when we're on either channel, or when either of them share something about it, whatever. But
Me too.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting to use my but I did share the today's. Of course, it was like 35 minutes into it, but I did share it because I was so excited to hear it. And then I remembered, I gotta share this out.
Anonymous says, thanks for releasing these calls. Antisa's mustache in HD, clearest version heard so far. Thank you. And then now let me show you guys what Leticia said to this person. So if you guys missed I put out a short video the other day, and I don't even know what got me going down this road. Like, I just, all of a sudden the other morning, I was like, I want to be certain of where she's at. So I saw on Twitter, somebody posted, I found Letecia Stauch on the Getting Out app.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep,
and I was like, I had told you guys about it, and we talked about it for a couple of days, actually. And so then all of a sudden one morning I was like, you know what? I'm going to download the app. I found it, and it had a little number under her name. So I called that prison, and I put out the recording, but I called that prison, and I gave them the number, and they told me, yes, they do have this inmate. So then I tried to message her on the app, and she blocked me. Well, when I put this video out, I guess many of you guys had reached out to her, and she actually responded to one of you, and she said she didn't mind if I shared this. So I wanted to show you guys what she said. Hold on. Let's see. Oh my gosh, you guys. Hold on. I'm so sorry. Let me get to it this way because I did not mean to do that like that. Okay. So the person says, hey, Leticia, how are you holding up? Hello. And then Leticia writes back this, and I don't know. Yeah, I guess the first message was at 1:47 and then 10:23 at night. And at 10:29, she writes this back. With all respect, I talked to my kiddo and my friends from South Carolina on here and my dude. I don't engage in nonsense or negativity or people looking for clicks. I'm not saying that's you, but being honest with you on why I didn't respond. I live for God, and my days are filled with joy and fellowship. So not going to entertain all these people texting me. I've had over 150 people message me in 2 days, and that's overwhelming. Can't blame me for ignoring people. So,
First of all, when anybody starts off the conversation or their reply with all respect, that's not the way it goes. It's with all due respect. But when they start out that way, you know that everything that follows after that is going to be thrown off. Okay, and it is. Thank you, Leticia, for being the stereotype. Well played. Yikes. She's looking for fellowship. Now, didn't we hear her calls where she's from the clink, where she is claiming that there is no fellowship because she's in the medical ward and not allowed to say or do anything or talk to anybody. So who are you fellowshipping with, ma'am? The walls? The sheets?
Frustrating. Who's your dude? Who you fellowshipping with, and who's your
Jesus
dude?
Is her dude. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm tired. This came out.
I love you, Jen. Jesus is her dude. Wait, I'm sorry. But seriously, let me see what you guys think. Team Psych Ward. Her dude, oh my God, who's crazy enough to, I'm telling you, I don't know about
Somebody's crazy enough to be booed up with Susan Smith.
I do not know about that.
A few somebodies, actually. She played a couple of boys, a couple of guys. Several. calling him baby and honey. I love you. Ugh, she's so gross.
Amber says, with all due respect means I don't respect you at all, which that's so funny and true the way she said it. Lisa, so she talks to Harley. Now, this is something I wondered too, because I think we were all under the impression that they weren't communicating anymore. But that was just after trial. I mean, that was months ago. So I guess really, who knows?
Well, we did hear some calls since she's been convicted, and she's not talking. In those calls, she wasn't speaking to Harley. Let me tell you what I think she did. I think this is a whole lie. You see how she mentions right there for clicks? That means Leticia Stauch is keenly aware that this stuff is ending up on the social medias and the YouTubes and all the things, right? Which is probably why she put Harley in there. It's to do exactly what we're doing right now. Is she talking to Harley? She ain't talking to Harley. And she probably ain't talking to no dude either. Unless it's who did she, what, didn't she have a vampire friend that Jasper?
Yeah.
That visited her? It's Jasper. Jasper's her dude. My bad. It wasn't Jesus. It's Jasper. I'm sorry.
Look, this is Lindsay is the one who actually sent this to me, and thank you, Lindsay, so much. That was super sweet. I really appreciated you sharing that with us because it's interesting to see it. She says, I did reply. If she responds, I will keep you all posted.
Lindsay, ask her how Jasper's doing.
Valerie, she doesn't talk like that. I don't know. I think it kind of does sound like her to me, especially the with all due respect, just all of it. Even the it's
well, she's only has halfway gets the English. She only she's got her PhD and everything. You guys, she's very smart and very fashion, but uses words like costed. Why come? I don't know who she's talking to. You're right. I don't. But the last thing that was pretty recent from when she's been convicted, she wasn't speaking to Harley. That's just my opinion. I think personally, I think she, likes to fib a lot. And I think she likes to stick it to Harley. I think she's big mad at Harley for testifying against her. I do.
Oh, she probably is. I could see that for sure. Joanne is correct. You guys make good points. So Joanne says Chris Watts has female pen pals. Christina, actually, even Susan Adkins was married. So I don't know. And for friends from South Carolina, so is she making connections that like reaching out to people that she already had connections to? That would probably be more realistic than nothing at all. I mean, she could be lying, but also I'm curious about it.
Me too. I mean, I'm it's hard for me to take anything that Leticia says as truth. I mean, look, the lady is a lying liar mouth who tells lies. And once you tell one lie, in my mind, you're a liar. And therefore, everything that you say has now become sus.
Yeah.
Well,
right.
And she had before when she was talking to Nicole Mobley, she had told Nicole Mobley that she was pregnant. And the reason why she told Nicole Mobley she was pregnant is because she was testing her to see if that information would hit social media. And that was her way of like testing Nicole Mobley. So, her talking to Harley and having a dude could, it could be the same sort of trap of like, well, let's see if that goes out on social media.
Oh yes,
but
I can so see that. Yes,
she told not detective. Let me get his name correct.
Right, she had told
Agent Grusing that she was pregnant too.
Yeah, but they weren't putting stuff on social media.
Well, no, that's true.
Yeah.
You know her so well, it's scary because now that you say that, I'm like, you know what? That is exactly what the hell her manipulative ass would do. That's what this. You are so right.
Don't tell
Just
anybody.
remember
You'll
when
ruin
you're
my
right.
Reputation.
Yeah. I mean,
Amber.
listen, they're talking about in this phone call what happened to Gannon, right? And when Leticia doesn't get her way, and the conversation really devolves. What does she throw out at him? Well, you can your ex-wife or whoever you want to F. I hope you're effing everybody. You know what I mean? That's where her brain goes. You have a missing child. And according to whichever version of the story you're telling in the moment, it's bad news all the way around. You saw something bad in every version of every story that you told. And you're worrying about who he's boinking. Come on, girl.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, the last thing on my mind.
I want to talk about that as well. And then before though we get into that, let me just say B Crumbs about her telling Aunt B she only talked to her. That was at that time. I'm just saying anything can change from day to day. So I still believe it's probably not true. And it's what you said, Curious Jen. But, I'm keeping you never know. You never know.
I mean, I said a long time ago, well, not that long ago, I think it was like 3 or 4 days ago, that at some point Harley may reach out to her mother. They may try to, for Harley. Harley may try to have some type of closure with her mom until it gets to a point where we all know where it's going to go, unless Leticia gets help or, in therapy and all that it's going to get to a moment where it's probably going to be encouraged by her therapist, and she's going to go back to her therapist and say the conversations that she and her mom's had. And if it doesn't get any better, the therapist is eventually going to say, I think your mom might be toxic to you. You need to be careful or limit your exposure or conversations with her. And that'll be the way it goes until Leticia decides to work on Leticia.
Yeah. Yep. That's just the truth. Poor her. I'm sorry. I can't help but feel bad for her. But yeah, the only reason I answered that comment before we got into this, because it was like changing the subject a little bit, or completely. And this is very interesting to me because she did say she had a biological son at one point. She basically at one point made it seem like, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but like that she was protecting him from Gannon or something like that, or he was protecting her from Gannon, or like Gannon was the bad guy in a way. And I don't remember exactly her.
No, so it came up in a letter that she wrote on February 21st of 2021, which is when she was making poker references in court. Right about that same time, she had fired her team of public defenders, and she had requested a conflict hearing. And she had the first conflict hearing, and Judge Bain, who was the chief judge in the district, who heard the conflict hearing because it can't be heard by the regular judge, Judge Bain decided that he wasn't going to rule on it, and instead sent her back to Judge Werner for, sorry, it's been a long day, guys. Sent her back to Judge Werner for an Arguello advisement because she was going to represent herself. And because she didn't get her way, excuse me, in that first conflict hearing, and she knew that was supposed to be a private hearing, that the information exchanged in the conflicts that you're having with the public defenders, that's private information that the prosecution should not be privy to, your judge should not be privy to it, and the public should certainly not be privy to your problems with your attorneys. But Leticia didn't get her way, and so she knew that writing a letter to the judge made it instant public record, and everyone would know. The judge, the district attorney, the court of public opinion, and she listed out those conflicts. And underneath her bullet point list of conflicts, in that second letter to Judge Werner, is where she mentions the biological son. And we know, I mean, a lot of people at first thought that she was trying to just claim Gannon as her own son, but then she specifically talks about Gannon as well. And so she said that she was upset because her defense team was trying to, quote, run the defense against my biological son. Right? And so, trying to say that her biological son had done this to Gannon. Right?
And she
also mentions Gannon. What?
she was like taking the rap for him in a way or something. Like
Right. Yeah, just like she went to jail for Harley. Right.
yeah.
Wow. Anyway.
Oh my gosh, J Lord, you're the bomb. Keep
And then
going.
she also said that she would protect her biological son, and she also said that she would protect her stepson from the drugs and violence, that had been reported or whatever, or
Is that
documented. The
so
drugs and violence that have been documented. Well, Leticia, you're the only one who documented the alleged drugs and the alleged violence, because in both of those situations, one with the bath salts, and the cigar in the backpack, right? That's the drugs, and the
yeah.
violence is the knife incident, which also is alleged. Nobody knows about this except for Leticia. Gannon certainly can't stand up for himself, and nobody believes it. But now, so not only did she create the rumor, but now she's going to protect Gannon from the rumor that she created, as if the rumor had actually worked. So it's like
Wait,
she had this plan in her mind and her brain, that little hamster wheel was running so fast that she framed him for the drugs and the violence and expected people to believe it. But even when they didn't believe it, she still went to the next step anyway, because her hamster wheel's spinning too fast. It's like,
Leticia's just no good. You're
see,
no good, Leticia.
I remember thinking that she was saying like she would like putting Gannon in a negative light again. You know what I mean? In
yeah,
that letter somehow. Yeah. And oh my God, she's just something else. And then like you said, that was at the same time you got to know when to hold them, know when to show them that song quoting
The gambler.
that. Mm-hmm.
hmm
Thank you, Elena. Thank you so much for the super sticker. I really appreciate that. You guys, oh my God. So my neighbor just walked out to their car, and we have like a privacy fence and there's some distance, so like it's not close, but I heard steps and there was a bear out here like a couple weeks ago. So I thought it was a bear. I jumped off. I went like 20 feet away from the computer while you were talking. I could still hear you, but barely, and my heart was thumping. And then I heard their car start and I was like, oh my God, it's not a bear. I came back. I'm so sorry.
So the only two options, just let's just bullet point this really quick. The only two options for Allie outside of something approaching is either a bear or Sasquatch.
Yes, or a big
Bless it, Allie. Oh my God.
sorry. I had a damn heart attack, and then I tried to act normal. I was like, Jaylord, you're the mom. Keep going. And I saw her.
Then you couldn't hold it in and you had to tell it.
Yes, sorry.
I was almost attacked by a bear that wasn't a bear. It was my neighbor. At least it wasn't Sasquatch this time.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I know he'd be coming around and fucking with you, Allie.
Both of them. He's banging on the trees and stuff. I love you guys. Oh my goodness. Oh, thank you, Jeannie. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. What else do you have in your notes, Curious Jen?
not much else. Oh, I did want to point out something that I found interesting. So on February 8th, remember when they were talking about when she was asking him if he had filed for divorce and stuff? Right around that time. On February 8th, she apparently canceled his vehicles off of their insurance. And that's not exactly what was said, but she accused Albert of taking her off the insurance because she said that she was listed as his ex-wife on the insurance. And then he comes back with, well, okay, that's probably how I felt, on February 8th when you canceled my vehicles. And she was like, well, if that happened, Dad, that was an accident because I said that they were going into storage. So that was an accident. And it took me right back. I mean, that's one of Leticia's famous moves.
Yes.
Is the fake accident. If she can play it off where there's even a small percentage of possibility that, yeah, it might have been an accident, or somebody else's mistake. It never would be hers. And she certainly didn't do it on purpose. It takes me right back to the candle video. The one that she accidentally recorded and then
Yes.
admitted later that it was on purpose. Well, there
Yes.
are so many examples of Leticia accidentally on purpose doing something that harms another person and then, playing the accident card. And that's exactly what happened. She called the insurance company. She found out that she was listed as an ex-spouse and had to get her own policy. And so then she must have logged in. I mean, because she wouldn't have been able to do it on the phone with whoever she was talking to. She must have logged in, like, using his credentials and canceled his cars off of the auto insurance. Because why? When Leticia is full of spite, watch your ass.
Everyone suffers.
Yes. If Leticia feels like she's been wronged, watch out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, don't, keep in mind, even if you're, defending yourself against some horrible thing that she's done to you, doesn't matter.
No, that doesn't count.
Doesn't count.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Thank you,
So,
Sexy Wild Thing, Carol freaking Claus. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. Sorry.
so that, I mean, and I have to assume, because she did talk to somebody and, she's listed as ex-spouse, which means she has to have her own policy. She has no more power, but she still had his login. And then that took me to another place in my mind. There are so many places in that space.
Oh, brace yourselves, y'all. I feel like this one's going to be a doozy. Whenever a conversation from Jen starts out with, that took me to another place in my mind. Brace yourselves.
It's not that serious, but it did allow me to put myself as much as I could, which I would never be able to, but it helped me to, attempt to put myself in Albert's shoes a little bit in that moment. So, one of these big, as I'm continuing, to work on the book and putting everything in a linear fashion, even though we've learned it, all over the place, putting it back where it goes and realizing what all else was happening at that time. You see it clearer and clearer and clearer. And so it's February 14th and he's having this conversation with Leticia and he mentions, how on February 8th she canceled his cars off the insurance. February 7th, the house was sealed off as a crime scene and he was immediately made homeless. And that's, so, and all of the other things he had been going through. Meanwhile, Leticia and Harley have skipped town, taken the dogs, then there's all this added stuff, with, Landon freaking out and just, everything that this man is going through. And here's Leticia canceling his car insurance because, I just, man, his son's missing.
Yeah.
His son's missing and he has to deal with Leticia canceling his car insurance. And
not only is he missing, she's the one who did it and she knows.
Right.
And like, what an evil.
And she's playing these games too.
Right. And it wasn't just that one.
Get information out of her about what happened that day, right? And what the F is going on, right? And she's over here talking about Eduardo, who's now Quincy, and then Terrence is in the mix. And all she ever wanted to do was be the cool mom, but also the cool wife because she wanted to get him she wanted to get Al a bike. Leticia, you suck. The end.
Right. And all of her stories and now he was, Quincy Guardo was in the house when the police were there and somehow Al is able to just logically come right back with, okay, wait, so he was there during the day when you called me and told me he was missing, so what, he's just doing what when you call the police, somehow in the middle of all of this shit.
Well, he's clearly rearranging and making the storage room more organized. That's what he was doing, removing empty boxes because who keeps empty boxes? Right.
I just, and it wasn't just the car insurance. So here Albert's in this position, everything that's happened, everything that's continuing to happen on a daily basis, and then throw in social media and the traditional media And now, the sheriff's department, the FBI, the district attorney's office, his employer, family members, his church, things happening left and right, things being seized, them searching the house, combing through his finances, going through all of his technology, all of this stuff. And he's got to find a place where he can shut all of that off and think, okay, how many ways can Leticia fuck me over right now? How many and that she was in charge of all of it. That she was the one paying his bills. I mean, remember how he had to ask for permission to buy the headphones?
Yes.
Or the earbuds or whatever they were.
I forgot about that. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Leticia ran everything. And Leticia's mad at him.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
And so he would have to shut all of that down and then come up with a defensive plan of action to cut Leticia out of everything that he gave her control over. And it was a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, she had control over a lot.
And then on top of it, he's got to get on the phone with her and try to get the truth out of her.
Oh my God.
Right. She's in the right ear and the
right now,
FBI's in the left.
there's no way I would be able to do that. Even if I had sweet Agent Grossing, sitting next to me, coaching me and giving me peanut butter and jelly sandwiches the whole way, there would be nothing. They'd have to tie me to a chair. I would be in my car. I would be pulling up. I don't.
For your baby, you would. For your babies, you would.
I would for my baby. I would for my baby. But once that part, I did what I needed to do for my baby, then I'd be pulling up.
Yeah, I definitely. Oh my God, it would be so. Oh, I can't.
I mean, he did have a few moments. Yeah, like even his moments of explosions or anger, which he had every right to be, and frustrated, because her stories don't make a lick of sense. I mean, none. Mm-hmm. There's no, but I just keep coming back to every time he would repeat her story to her, how angry she would get.
Yeah.
Like, now you know how we all feel, Leticia. We heard that cockamamie bullshit you said too. We feel exactly the same way. Like all them thoughts that were swimming around in your head at this time, and these are the ones that won.
Her stories have no shelf life whatsoever.
None.
I mean, she might be able to get away with it in the moment, but there's always something that comes out later that shows that was absolutely ridiculous. Whether that's, what's a recent example? Oh, the recent example with the phone calls where it wasn't where. Oh, help me.
What?
It was her coming up with an excuse for why she said something that came out in the affidavit.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I like when she was demanding receipts. You show me where I said that.
Family of four. Yeah, we should. Yeah. We haven't really talked about the family of four.
And yes, I definitely want to talk about that. But can we just 1 second? I want to say Mexi is in here, and thank you, Mexi, for all you do. And you guys, if I don't know if you've heard of his channel, but if the mods, please, can you drop it for me? Because he has covered this case. His investigator lives they're all from not far from there. Go to his channel to check it out. I don't want to give any information wrong or whatever, but he has an excellent channel. They do like spiritual investigations, paranormal investigations, and they are so good. There are things that come out on his videos that it's crazy because they're true. Like, and he'll do after, like, say he does a case, then an affidavit comes out, and then he'll do a video that compares like what they found in their investigation before the affidavit come out and what came out in it and like what's correct. They are so interesting. It's so good. I think that you guys would really love him.
I watch Mexi. I watch his paranormal investigations. I like them now, but some of the older ones where he would get a little scared would make me laugh. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, I love the old ones. They're classic. Like, oh my gosh. I love that.
Speaking of Mexi, I don't remember what page it's on. I'm sure I can figure out a way to look it up. But I remember in that 1,050 page document, I'm convinced that they were talking about him. because do you guys remember when Mexi went to Mandan Drive and he was parked outside? Now, remember, that house was re-rented by April of 2020. So it was sealed off as a crime scene on February 7th, and it was unsealed on February 27th. And then immediately, as soon as he was allowed back in, Albert moved out. And so it was only vacant for about a month, and there were new renters in there by April. And I'm not sure. So I want to know. I can't remember when Mexi went. So Mexi, if you're still in here, what is the date that you went there and you were outside? And I remember you went up and knocked on the door and talked to somebody. And they were really nice to you, I think. I mean, I don't remember exactly. And it was like 2 years ago, but
yeah.
But anyway, in one of the police reports, it talks about how they put up a pole camera on Gannon Street because because like so many people were going to the house because the address was out in the news and social media. And it was talking about a guy that was parked outside the house for a long time. And I just want to know if the date matches up and if that was Mexi that they were talking about in the police report.
Oh, Mexi made a police, potentially made a police report. Oh my!
Thank you, Mexi. That is so sweet. Thank you. I appreciate that. And then I remember watching like a couple of his videos where maybe the police came. Was it at the Watts house or something like that? Or the police were there? I don't know. I remember something like that, but it's been forever because I've been watching since like Watts days when he did.
Yeah, I remember something like that too. I remember somebody just like asking him what he was doing or something.
Yeah.
But I don't think that was Gannon's house, but I can't remember.
I think it might
I
have
remember when he went to where John Bonet used to live. That house.
Oh yeah. And all kinds of cool stuff. So yeah, definitely you guys check it out. Okay, so like you said, the family of 4. So that came from, I guess, originally an email that she sent to Albert, or what? Can you clarify that for me, you guys?
Yeah, it was an email. I mean, of course, we haven't seen the email, but that's just what he was talking about. And he said that he could show her the email where she did it.
He came with receipts. Yeah, I'm sure it's probably something it's probably in like another part of the case file that we'd have to request. It's probably we probably have to request like the downloads from their phones and their social media and stuff. That's probably in a whole separate case file.
Yeah, because we have to have the item number, so we'd have to find where it was listed as an item number. Which something else that I'm trying to get right now. So on top of all the pretext phone calls, there was a pretext interview, and it was an interview that Albert had with law enforcement before making the very first pretext calls. And so I'm trying to get that as well. But it was something that you had to request separately with the specific item number and all of that. So I'll keep you posted if we get it.
Yeah, we need to regroup like in a few days, figure out, because once I get paid again, let's regroup. And because I know that we got some things happening already that you've requested or that whatever.
Yeah.
So
that we're working on.
I want to throw in some more.
Yeah, we all want to throw in, but I don't know that I'm going to be ready to regroup and formulate more plans. If tomorrow I'm supposed to be listening to this, this next call is longer than this call.
Right.
This one is 2 hours.
It's several calls, but it's one day.
Right. But one day, this day of calls is 2 hours and 55 minutes and some odd seconds, but it's 2 hours and 55 minutes of Leticia. Okay. It's not 2 hours and 55 minutes of listening to crime curious Jen over here reading some affidavits in her nice voice. No. It's freaking Leticia. And we do. Yes. Music City Mom. Yes.
Yeah. I think there's like, I don't know exactly what, because Curious Jen is kind of
She's the class treasurer. Alex is the secretary because she keeps on top of the to-do list.
I think we had like a couple $100 extra or something like that. Secretary.
Yeah.
We
I'm
currently
mainly
have
the clown.
in,
I don't
in the
have
bank,
really a position. I just be making
oh,
people
but
laugh.
you do.
I
Yes, you
do.
You
And
do.
it's every position because I'm bendy.
You're flexible.
So in the bank, we currently have $248 that we have not spent yet.
Okay.
The first round of stuff that I want to get is $290, and then the second and third rounds are right around there, right around the $300 mark. So with the 248 that we have now, the next 3 rounds total is an additional 675. If that makes sense. So it's each grouping is about $300 each, and we can do them one at a time. But I'd like to be able to release them all at once. So we'll just have to figure out the financing.
Yeah, let's wait till I get paid again, and we'll talk about it all in a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Holly, there is another Tisha Geddon tomorrow. There's going to be several Tisha Geddons.
Yeah, I'm excited. Very excited.
I need to make a thumbnail and do a schedule. We might have to do it at 10, since apparently Leticia is very wordy on the 15th. She has a lot to say, so it's going to be nothing but lies. Prepare yourself.
What did y'all think about the family of 4 comments?
Again, I go back to she leaks.
Right.
There is a nugget of truth in things that she says, and it's usually unintentionally. And what's interesting to me about Leticia is when she is in a heightened emotional state, and that could be on either end of the emotional state line, right? Like she's either livid or crying her whole soul out, right? Those are the only 2 emotions Leticia has. There's no like middle road with her. She's always on one end or the other. And whenever she's either on either end of those, she leaks a little truth, comes out. And I think when she said the family of 4, Leticia all the way in each and every single little story that she's given, she always lets a little bit out, and it's like about with Gannon that Gannon is no longer living. She'll let it leak, and then she'll sort of realize that I shouldn't. That was whoops, and so she will always end that new speech with, "I hope he's returned whole and happy." Stuff like that.
Oh my God. Yes. Thank you, Kathy. That is so sweet. Thank you.
Yeah, healthy and whole.
God, I hate when she's like,
healthy and whole. Is that what I say? Did I say that right?
Oh, probably. I was just repeating it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but now I'm questioning
I had
myself.
a little bit of a flashback.
Yeah, it's jarring though. Like some of the stuff that comes out of that woman's mouth when she's like in a heightened emotional state. And the thing is that she uses both her anger and her sadness as a form of manipulation. And so she's always scheming. She's always manipulating. She's always trying to get somebody to do what it is that she wants. She is incredibly duplicitous. She's just, ugh. I'm telling you, this woman needs to be in a glass jar, or like a glass case, not a jar. That's a little cruel, but like a glass case, like Annabelle, with a sign so that don't touch the glass, don't get up next to it, don't make eye contact, all the things. Ugh.
I feel like, like when he asked her, what does our future look like without Gannon? I feel like that was a trap. And I understand it. I understand why they would do that. You know, she can't talk about the past or what happened without telling lies that crash into each other.
Mm-hmm.
And she can't talk about the present because she's lying about where she's at. She's like, you know, it's so you know it's too muddy in the past and it's too muddy in the present, and she does move really fast, and so it's like, you know, well, let's talk about the future. You know, how does this look? And then you see how far she's taken it. Like, what is her plan? Because she's going to be more honest about the plan, you know, because even, you know, especially the way she tries to act like she always has the best of intentions. And I'm sure at some point her plans do start out with good intentions, you know, and then it starts out with her being, you know, a school teacher or a doctor or a lawyer or a good mother or, you know, whatever it is. I mean, it's just supposed to go up from there, you know, but, you know, there's no cornerstone to any of it. But she can talk about the future. So I felt like it was a trap to see how much thought she had put into what does the future look like without Gannon, because that in itself, that she's even thought that far and has a plan, because she's already, you know, she already thinks that she's, you know, miles ahead of everyone else. And in a way she was, you know, she was across the country before they even had, enough records downloaded, you know, before they even had, you know.
She was ahead for a very, but not for long and not that much.
Right.
Her story really started unraveling fairly quickly. A lot, kind of like with Chris Watts. His story started unraveling the minute he opened that door and NK barged through it. She damn near knocked him on his ass. And let me just say, there are times when I'm feeling a little bit like blue or kind of sad, and I'll go watch just that part, because when she barrels through that door and hit the look on his face makes me laugh every single time. Every single time.
Yeah. And you can tell, you know, she doesn't like talking about the past or the present, but that goes to the family of four thing. She's already seeing it that way. She already sees it as a family of four. And Gannon's the afterthought, right? And she's just waiting for other people to catch up, you know? And this is right about the time where she was Googling the stuff about the bridge.
Yeah.
I love this comment, you guys. Patricia said, it's so good to hear creators creating in harmony and with obvious, genuine affection, and of course, with a combined wicked sense of humor, and your warm and clever chatters are a credit. Kudos, folks. Oh my gosh.
I love that.
Oh, I can't tell you how many tough spots I've been in that just a conversation with you guys has it's helped me so much. Just work it all out. It works out. But it's like we don't come on here like I have all the information and I know everything. We're learning, you know, learning from each other, learning from chat, learning from the content. I mean, yeah, you're presenting it, but you're learning as much as everybody else is. You know, I don't know.
Carol Claus, thank you. She sent a huge super chat and said,
wow.
In honor of Gannon and Quentin and all children tortured, abused, and alive by evil monsters.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was very sweet. What is today? October? Yeah.
5th.
Okay.
It's just, I think when you dealing with tough cases like this, it's good to hear everybody's perspective, because it's not all of the pieces fit together the way you think they do in the beginning. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's some stuff that has come out after the trial, right? Like, you learn a great deal at trial. Don't get me wrong. You guys know I love a trial. But there's always some pieces or some parts of that trial or a case that you just have lingering questions. And I like talking about these cases with you girls and with the chat because sometimes I have to remember that, like, the trial doesn't give you everything, and there's always questions, but I also like to hear the different weight that you guys give certain stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I might think something in the call was super duper important. That family of 4 part, that was really important. And the bringing Gannon home part for me, those were 2 really like standout moments of that conversation for me, because she really boxed herself into a corner with the Quinguardo story, because he has Gannon, but she remembered she had to be home in time to meet Lena.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's like you can hear that poor hamster on that rusty wheel with the bum knee turning in her brain right about the time Al asks her that question.
Right, and Lena and Harley are upstairs sleeping, and she's tied to some board in the storage room with a bandana in her mouth, and she can hear Gannon screaming, but Lena and Harley can't hear Gannon screaming. Okay.
Right. Like nothing. It's absolute nonsense. But I do think that him asking the future question, that was really a good question, because I wanted to know how far ahead did she think this out? And I honestly got to say, you guys, I don't think it was that. I don't think that her. I don't think that she planned to unalive Gannon for a long period of time. I think that something occurred that was very in the spur of the moment, and then the rest of the time was her working out how she wasn't going to get caught.
Yeah.
That's what
Well, and I think that there was probably many series of thoughts here and there leading up to it, and in that like 2-month period, like a bunch of thoughts that she didn't act on, and then once the thing happened, then she just took the
Yes. But I got to say, Leticia, your wrong turn brain does not have a good if then but clause flow chart in it, because you don't think these things out at all. And you should just stay where you're at and, just be there. And don't fuck with people in the prison. Just stop, just stop. And by that, I mean the people that are employed there, because that's who you like to sue, is people who are employed and working for a living. And, they forgot to dot an I or cross a T. And here you come with a lawsuit.
Well, and it's funny that you throw out the if then but. I call it if then else, but if then else but. No, but that's what I do, especially in dealing with so many lies, because it's a way of ensuring that something is true and accurate, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
If this is true, then this is also true, or else none of it is true. And
right.
I've put myself cross-eyed so many times, and there were so many things at trial that I was hoping we would clear up that just didn't get cleared up. Now, I also know that all my red herrings are things that probably don't matter, because it was some, wicked branch that Leticia was about to spin off on, and it was part of one lie or the other. But in my mind, I have to put them together. So I hate having the red herrings. Like the biological son is a huge red herring, right? Yes. But there are many others, like the GameStop footage. What did she want the GameStop footage for? Or the Texas cop that she talked to. What Texas cop did she talk to, and what did she talk to him about? She wanted that cruise passenger list so desperately. Now, I did figure that one out. Enough that it makes remote sense. But right. I don't know for sure where she was all the way going with it. You know what I mean? I mean, I know the cruise passenger list. When they were on the cruise, they met somebody who lived in Palmer Lake that played high stakes poker, allegedly. I mean, this is in a letter that she sent to a YouTuber. So once again, we don't know what's true. We don't know what's not true.
I mean, this is a woman who Googled face transplants.
Right.
Okay, I gotta say something for a second. Just a couple comments and a couple cash apps actually that I'm gonna send over to you for the case file. So I wanted to say thank you to Music City Mom, and the other one doesn't it has your real name, so I don't want to say it unless you thank you. You know who you are. There's two,
Yeah.
so. And then Kellyanne says, I absolutely love this podcast. I've gotten attached and addicted. So glad I found you, girls. I'm so glad you did too.
Yay,
And
I'm glad you found us.
Yes. And there was a September 26th at work listening to the live. Love you guys. And we love you guys. You guys are awesome. But yeah, so I'll send that over to you. And then, yeah, thank you guys. That was really sweet. Thank you. I was thinking like we would, we were. I don't know. I just appreciate it. You guys are just so awesome.
Yeah.
You go above and beyond always. So thank you.
Awesome. Well, then I will get the first batch ordered right away. And
yeah, because now we got enough.
They're going to take work.
Yes.
But... Yay.
I do think that.
Yes.
Oh, I lost it. Whatever it was, I looked at chat and it's gone. It'll come back.
It will. It always does.
Mm-hmm.
Like Allie's bear.
Yes. Or Sasquatch.
Yeah, we could. Yay, that is so exciting. So you can go, by the time we get done with the calls, maybe we'll get close to getting them because it takes a little bit to get this stuff back.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it took us a week and a half to get the pretext calls.
Oh, I can't wait. Okay, awesome. And then I guess I was going to play part of this call, but we've been on here for so long. I'll probably just let you guys go since we're going to see you tomorrow again. And
yeah,
this is a busy few days.
Yeah, and remember that we're all going to wake up tomorrow morning and listen to Leticia.
Now we've got a new variation. There it is. For a while it was Leticia. No, it's Leticia. How'd you say it? Leticia. Which
God.
Does make sense. She is a PhD, so she's gonna teach you.
Yeah, that's one of those things. Do you guys remember that Angel file? Oh my God, the Angel Fire profile from 2006. Where she said that she was going to teach law when she got older.
Oh my God, yes. Now I remember,
yeah,
which is why now I'm clicking into why Albert says today, you know all that law stuff. Well, evidently she don't, because she doesn't know the difference between protection and immunity.
Yeah, see, when you were saying what you were taking away, I mean, one of the biggest things the two biggest things I took away, one was the insurance thing, because it gave me a new level of empathy for Albert that I didn't have before. And that's helpful. It will help me actually to remain objective. I know that doesn't sound like it makes sense, but it works for me, so I'll take it. Anyway, so part of it, was the car insurance and realizing this other level of behind the scenes stuff that he was having to do to protect himself from the woman who killed his child while playing the game with her while she's accusing him of playing games. I mean, man. But then the other part was that whole, it took me straight to Amber Heard, because she uses, with Amber Heard, it's what was it, donation and pledge. With Leticia, it's immunity and protection. Immunity and protection are not the same thing, Leticia, Amber Heard. Well, I don't care if you do use them synonymously. Protection from the bad guy, is what the police can offer you. Immunity protects you from the police, not the bad guy. So who do you need to be protected from? you need to be protected from the police because you are the bad guy.
Yes.
Stop saying immunity.
That's exactly what it is.
And,
Rachel.
well, I mean, you could say immunity, but what you mean is protection.
Right.
But you can't ask the people that you need protection from for protection. I just, so it was the difference between protection and immunity. And I just
Yes.
couldn't get off of the whole, donated / pledged. It's the same thing. No, it's not.
No, a donation is the completion. A pledge is I'm gonna. A donation is I did.
By the way, thank you so much, Rachel. She says,
Oh wow.
Thank you. She says, tend to never make a laugh, but I'm always on the rewatch crew. This is for all you guys do and for anything else y'all want to get. Thank you. That is very sweet.
Thank
You guys are,
you.
like I said, you always go above and beyond. I don't even have words sometimes for how awesome, like just how kind and awesome and thoughtful all of you guys are. So thank you.
Oh, Jen, you know what? I was going to replay the first part of your Gypsy live, but I just realized we have American Horror Story to watch for Saturday night.
Already watched.
Okay, I haven't, so.
And I just sent you that money. It was $90. There was two, like I said. One was $50, one was $40. And I just sent it over to you.
Awesome.
Yes,
I will
that's
order the
another
first
thing,
batch
you
tonight.
guys. We have to talk about just really quickly. So, Allie, I want you to do it too, but you got to start watching American Horror Story. So we're watching the new season of American Horror Story. If you got cable, it's on FX. I can't remember because I don't watch it on FX anymore. It's the next day on Hulu. So it's Thursday. And then Saturdays, me and Jen, and hopefully I'm going to force Allie to do it. We'll come and we're going to do like a little breakdown of it. That'll give everybody enough time. Yes, I'm totally peer pressuring Allie to watch this season. So, yep, there's a new season. We're 3 episodes in. So we're going to talk about it on Saturday, me and Jen, over on the Dose of Reality with Jen Lou, the second channel. What, Allie? You want to what?
I want to watch it. I mean, it's been a while since I watched them, but I used to watch them all the time. Like I watched the Roanoke one. I watched the witches, like when they were, witches or whatever. I watched a few of them, but yeah, I liked them. I thought they were pretty good. Now there was a few seasons where I probably didn't like it as much, but yeah, I watched them a lot. I'm gonna check it out for sure, and I cannot wait for that. And yeah, I don't know. Thank you guys. I gotta say thank you again because you're really.
It is streaming, you guys. It is. It's on Hulu on Thursdays. You can watch it on Hulu on Thursdays.
Yeah. And this season was based on a book. And
yes.
you know me, like I want to read the book, but I don't feel.
Me too.
I don't think I should though. I think I think once the season's over, then I'll read the book.
Yeah, that was my plan too. I thought about it today. I was like, I want to get this book. I will say this for people who are asking if it got bad reviews. Okay, here's the deal. And I thought about this the other day because the first episode I was like, I was on the fence. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But then I remembered how many other seasons of American Horror Story I was on the fence about after the first episode. And some seasons you're hooked from the first episode and it's very fast paced, goes. Murder House was like that.
Yeah.
Freak Show was like that. Even Asylum was like that. Coven to a certain extent. But then there were other seasons where it was they had to take the time to sort of like get you involved and invested with the characters. And this one is not quite that way, but it's also not fast paced. It's like right down the middle. It's moving fairly quickly, but it also does spend some time like getting to know the characters because you got to be invested in the characters.
Yeah.
And also, Sherry, thank you for being a member for 2 months, and Pepper for 4 months. She said 4 months is exactly how long that phone call seemed to last when Leticia was preaching.
That phone call was 7 years.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I'm glad we're not playing it tonight, because we're going to wake up to that. And listen, I had to do a whole meditation before I went and worked on something else after listening to those calls this morning.
Well,
I'm
that one
telling
part,
y'all, Satan is playing these pretext calls in hell to torture people. I'm telling you.
the part where Al goes off though is like it. I
Yeah.
love it. It like
It made it worth it.
Yes, we're
Yeah,
like,
no, at the same
yes,
time,
tell her ass, because he's like funny too, and he's like, we definitely did not hear him go say some of the stuff that he said today that we heard.
Yes.
yeah, and that's
I
something that
loved
he
it.
mentioned in one of the interviews after the trial is, he did kind of mention that in some of those pretext calls, they did get a little racy and he wasn't super proud of his language. And so now that they're coming out in their full form, I'm sure that, there's a part of him that doesn't like letting people hear him cuss like that. But at the same time, we're on the other end going, get her.
Yeah, she
Yes.
deserved it. Yeah,
She did.
I loved it.
I think he held back a little bit, to be quite honest with you, because like he could have gone in harder and he didn't.
He's like a
Even
Quincy with
when
the
he
red card and the empty box. Like
when
the
he said, "I'll
bullshit.
tell you what, I'm going to set on my fat ass at this hotel."
Right.
That's the one that did me in. I'm going to sit on my fat ass at this hotel.
Well, and
Like-
that's so one of the things, and then I swear I'll shut up, because we have, like 5 more of these to do.
Yeah.
But when she went to Crime Online and she told the story about how, Albert had this excessive gambling debt, and that's the reason why Gannon was kidnapped, and, and she put it all on Albert, even saying that he should be in jail for manslaughter and, so on and so forth. She actually pulled me in with that story back then. She started telling that story publicly in September of 2020. And she actually kind of got me with it because I didn't know Albert, and Albert was not out in the media trying to run a PR campaign like she was, and it was so
I think that story probably got a lot of people, Jen.
Yeah,
honestly.
I think it did. And so I'm thinking, well, it'll come out in trial. And so when we did have the opportunity to hear these pretext calls, because she went into great detail, saying that she was covering for it because, Eduardo became Quincy, became Edgar, with
Yes.
Cash Belly in between.
Yeah.
But, so the part I'm talking about is where he's, switched over to Edgar. And Edgar is this local businessman, this mafia boss who Albert owes all this money to. And she went into such great detail that she started talking about Major Brown, which is, a major at that's working with Albert, and that Major Brown had connections, and that she just had to sit there for now, and she didn't have anything to lose, but he did. As if, she told this in-depth story about how, she was taking the fall for Albert and Edgar. And so I'm like, I'm thinking at back then, I'm thinking that these pretext calls, because, we learned about those in the affidavit, and we knew that they existed. And then she comes out with a story publicly about the gambling debt, but we didn't get to hear those pretext calls until trial, what we did hear.
Mm-hmm.
No connection whatsoever to any of the shit she was talking about. Well,
Nope.
Major Brown does get mentioned in a few days, but we'll get there. But it's certainly not because of what she said.
Right.
But hearing these calls,
How about when Al offered to call the tip line for her?
and she lost it.
Lost her whole mind. No, because spoiler alert, I'm gonna be arrested and I'm gonna call the tip line myself from jail.
Right.
Jesus fuck, I can't with her.
Shelly says, I came in at the end, but it was great to finally make it into a live chat. Thank you, Jens and Alex.
Jens.
Yeah, I love it.
Jens.
It's all you do. And those who donate to make it happen. And yes, and thank you, Shelley, and I agree. Thank you guys, and thanks for the people who throw in with us because truly,
Yes.
you go beyond what I would ever even expect and or ask or anything, and yeah, it makes me
So,
speechless. Truly,
so
thank
grateful,
you.
you guys. Like,
Yes.
look, you're really, when we covered this case or this trial and this case, we now at this point, we need to know all the things. So when we heard, hey, we're going to hear pretext calls today in trial. Oh, great. But then there was the additional, but by the way, it's only clips. There's like 12 hours of these mofos. Immediately, I know for me for sure, my wheels were turning. I needed to hear all the hours. I don't care
Yeah.
how torturous it is. I need to hear it. And so you guys are helping us do that
Yes,
and
I'm
and
excited.
resolve some questions that we have or shit, hear things that we didn't even know we didn't know. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So it's really, you guys are just the best. You really are. We could not do it. And then you sit and listen to us jibber jabber about it for 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Yes, I love
Yeah.
it though because it's just it's heartbreaking at times, and it will devastate you. It will keep you up at night, truly, because this case, oh my God, it like rocks your whole soul. I can't even describe it,
It
but
does. It
whew,
does.
makes
And
me
on top of it, we're not like trying to reinvestigate the case. We're just discussing what we didn't get to hear at trial, which is important, especially because we have some cases, some trials coming up. Idaho 4 comes to mind where the amount of information, verified information from law enforcement or the courts is very, very limited. And so we really don't know we don't know the evidence. We know a little tiny bit that came out in a probable cause affidavit 7 years ago. It's almost been a year since that probable cause affidavit has come out. And we don't know very much more since then. You know what I'm saying? But rest assured, we will. We will. It will come out.
Yeah. And for me, I'm
We're going to
tying up
find
loose
out what
ends
happened.
and
Yeah, we're going to find out what happened at 1122 King Road. We will, you guys. Keep the faith. I promise.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And you know what? We're going to get all like that's what the show that we were going to do tonight. But before we got these calls, we were talking about doing a live tonight where we go over the affidavit with Leticia, but like connecting that to Brian Koberger and how much we're going to learn, how much, you know, was unknown to all of us before the trial. And even after the trial, look at how much we didn't see or didn't hear about, so there's going
Right.
to
And
be a
it's
lot.
not right. And it's not like the stuff that we've heard or didn't, that we're hearing today that we didn't hear at trial. These are not like game changers. This doesn't make Leticia at all less culpable. We are satisfied that the right person is sitting in prison right where her, what did I call her? Nappy head ass belongs. Okay.
Yeah.
What did he call her? Nappy
Oh,
head or nappy hair? Whatever it was he called her. Either way, she's right where she belongs. This is not that. And I really do believe that when it all comes out in Coburger, that we're going to feel the same way. But
yep,
rest
I agree.
assured, if it's not, I will be the first to tell you guys. I will stand up and say, look, I don't think they have the right guy. I really don't.
Yeah.
But we don't know that yet.
Yep, you're exactly right. And there's just we have the smallest amount possible, the smallest amount that they could put out to get probable cause for his arrest. You can even look it up. The burden of proof increases as you go on. Like the
Yes.
preliminary hearing, you have to have a little more. And then at the trial, it's beyond a reasonable doubt. And that's just because they're still gathering evidence as well along the way, and results are coming in from tests and all kinds of
Right.
things. They're talking with experts and doing things like that. Don Kay,
Exactly.
thank you for gifting 5 memberships. That's very,
Oh,
very
wow.
sweet. And also, she's been a member for 1 month. Thank you, Dawn.
We have to keep in mind, you guys, particularly because this is the one that's getting the most attention right now, with Idaho 4. Koberger's case is not the only case that the crime lab is working.
Mm-hmm.
Not only are they working on cases and stuff that was submitted prior to Koberger, but they're, working on cases that have come since. So all this stuff is going to we're going to get the questions answered. And yes, ATS, unless he takes a plea deal like Watts. Wouldn't that
But
be
then we'll get
something,
the
you
case
guys?
file. Then we'll get the
Yeah, we
case
will
file.
get the case
You know?
file. Yeah, like
But
Watts. Can you imagine
yeah,
if at the last minute this fool stands
no
up and
way.
says, I'm going to take a plea deal? I can't imagine him doing it either, but could you imagine if he did? I can
No,
hear
but
the groans across America, right across the world, if he were to
yeah,
do that.
absolutely, people would be devastated. But the amount of money that has already went into not only that
Mhm.
investigation, but his defense is astronomical for that area. It's bleeding them dry. Like they were talking about that 6 months ago. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
The state's
Thank you,
paying,
Shauna, for
the
joining.
state of Idaho and the taxpayers in Idaho are paying for both sides. You guys are
Yeah,
paying for Brian Koberg to be prosecuted and be defended. And guess what? If he is found guilty and the jury votes for the death penalty, you're going to be paying for all those appeals too. And
yep,
anything
absolutely.
any testing he wants done in those appeals, you guys are going to be paying for that as well.
Yep, the state's paying for all of it. So, and they've they're having town meetings about that. So, but Nicole, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. And let me see. I think it was. We need a trial and said there was another comment I wanted to read and I can't find it. Well, I'm sorry. The case should be handled by the FBI and be high priority. Well, it
The
is.
FBI it is being handled. That's the thing. The FBI helps out. They assist, right? Unless they decide to prosecute, right? And then they just take over. But the majority of the time the FBI is there as to be helpers because they do have more resources and stuff like that. And they are doing that. But as you can see, they did assist in some capacity, particularly with the not genetic, what am I trying? The familial DNA. And look where that's gotten us. There's
Mrs.
a whole kerfuffle.
Bendover. Do y'all think Koberger did it? What do you get? How would you guys answer that?
Mm, at this point, personally, for me, I am having a very difficult time with the DNA being on the sheath. His DNA. That is a very. If it were on a book or a doorknob or something somewhat innocuous, I would maybe be questioning it, but the sheath is going to be a hard one to get around. But yeah, I think it's, but I reserve the right to change my mind at any time based on new evidence. And at this
Yeah.
point right now,
Mm-mm-mm. I have a lot more faith in. I don't know. I'm not with all the conspiracies about that. I'm kind of just waiting and see. I think that
mhm,
the evidence that they have against him, to me, is pretty compelling, especially with the video footage of, him driving by, the hitting, even touching the Wi-Fi. You know what I mean? Things like that. I think that it's all, of course, circumstantial, but a lot of evidence is circumstantial in these trials, and it adds up eventually. And I don't know. We'll have to wait and
you
see.
know,
But
I will say this about the Wi-Fi. I remember when we moved to this house from the old house, and it's not that far. It's like, I don't know, maybe a mile or so down the road. Okay. But obviously, to get from one house to another, you have to go through a neighborhood. And y'all know that I um, left my Wi-Fi on just to see how close you have to be in range. And you kind of got to be close. to get in range of people's to pick up. And now it'll only just show you that Wi-Fi is available. It doesn't mean you can connect to it, but you got to be fairly close.
Yeah.
You know, you can't be. You're not gonna connect to my or get a notification for my Wi-Fi if you're 3 or 4 streets over. You got to be right by my house, and it's not like that. The way that neighborhood is set up, that's a through street. It's not a. You know, they didn't live on like he couldn't even do a 3-point turn for Pete's sake. And I don't know
I'm
if that was
curious about
driver error or space error.
I would like to know what the quality of that video is as well, because I think that's going to show a lot too. I just, yeah, I don't know. And we don't know how much evidence there is. I know that people, and Taylor made this statement that there's nothing that connects him to them, but she's the defense attorney. They may not have all the tests back. We truly don't know. Anyways, the full discovery wasn't due until like, they were still like talking about discovery things being due right before the trial was supposed to start, like not long before. So I don't know. I just think we have to wait and see and be patient, which is hard, but it is what it is. But
and I need to ask Ann Taylor, which she's not going to answer me, but this would be my question about no connection. I need you to explain what you mean by connection. What do you consider a connection? Because I would think that a knife sheath button that's under the sheath itself is underneath a victim, and the snap has your client's DNA on there. I would think that is a connection. Are you talking about were they lifelong friends? Were they following each other on the Insta and the Snapchats? That doesn't. I don't know what you need to explain to me what what you mean by the word connection, because connection has different meanings to different people.
yeah, that's true. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And you are the defense attorney. I am. I'm getting tired. I'm going to let you guys go because we're going to listen to these calls tomorrow on Jen's channel. I'll share it on my community tab. Yeah, and I'll see you guys soon. I really appreciate you so much, and thank you guys who have helped purchase the file. And I know that you have shared like when she gets the receipts from what we've got, and I know that we'll continue to do that as well. I just want you guys to know that. But I really do appreciate you guys. Thank you all so much. Thank you, ladies on panel. Yeah, and it was interesting, and I feel like I'm like, oh, okay, tomorrow we're gonna have to do this all over again. Yeah. All right, you guys. Oh, Angie, I love you. I love and appreciate you guys, and I hope you have a good night, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Buy some bear spray. Oh, someone said buy some bear spray. And before I end it, K-Brace cracked me up earlier. They said something like, you thought the bear started the car or something, and I meant to comment on that, but I forgot. And then just remember. But all right. Good night. Bye.
Good night. Bye.